Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Starting from Scratch podcast with me, your host, John Kleisch at on. I don't know yet. We'll figure that part out as we go with episode number 19. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, greatly appreciate you tuning in. A brief overview of what we do here. I am documenting my journey from zero experience and $0 of commercial real estate owned all the way up until today, which is January 7th, 2026. About the 5-6 month mark of me being into commercial real estate. I now own $2.7-ish million of commercial real estate, one being an industrial building, the other one being an office. I am in the greater Phoenix area, and both of those buildings are near me, and one's in Glendale, one's in Sun City. I am documenting pretty much step by step along the way what I'm doing, how I'm doing things, talking about the deals, the inner workings of them, the bad, the good, everything like that. So if you wanted to get caught up, I put everything in chronological order as I recorded them, so you can go back in the beginning, take a look, or you can just stay here, check it out, and see what I got going on. So this episode is going to be about commercial real estate, but more along the back end of it. So what I want to talk about today is basically active income, cash flow types of things, because one thing that makes it very difficult to get into commercial real estate, and maybe one of the major reasons people avoid it, is the active income portion of it. Now, I don't want to say this as a general blanket statement, because we all know there's nuances and things here and there that you could do. However, generally speaking, the active income doesn't really happen. You're not really making money upfront on these deals. It's more of a future deal. You're building equity. Now, you are getting some cash flow, and that's great, but a lot of times you're forking out a lot of cash to get that cash flow. So the active income side of the equation gets really difficult because most people have to have some money coming in. Now, I mentioned on the last podcast, I have a goal of increasing my passive income, passive cash flow. And I say passive if you're not watching me with big time air quotes there, because we all know that true passive income doesn't really exist. However, there are levels and degrees of it. And what I mean by passive is that I have stuff that I own, and it is just religiously paying me monthly without very much input at all, I guess is a good way to describe what I would say is passive cash flowing income. So that wants to get, a big goal of mine is to get that increased as well. But one thing I didn't touch base on is the active income side of things. So to briefly go over these buildings, the first one, I'm about $80,000, pretty close to 90 grand into that building with down payment, closing costs, and a small handful of repairs there. I'm also $10,000 deep into my coaching program. I mean, not really going to count that, but just to give you an idea, I had to outlay basically over $100,000 of money that I had saved up in a bank account to go out and get these deals, right? And now that means my savings and my emergency buffer, I always like to have about a year, which is give or take, pretty, it's whatever. I mean, 6 months is for sure the minimum I would want to have to feel comfortable. So, that dwindled down, and now I'm below that 12-month savings mark, and that's when it starts to creep in a little bit. Oh, we got to go out and make some more money. So before, what I was doing, I had a land business that was making money, and I had a pool business, or still have a pool business, pool service and repair business. So the last year we shut the business down, I believe in like April, May, something like that, and I was still getting residual checks, and that was nice, right? And I was still doing my pool business. But when I got into commercial real estate about July of last year, 2025, no more land business. We shut that down, like I mentioned. And then my pool business, I took a dramatic step back, as in I was getting a bunch of repairs, doing a bunch of marketing, and getting more clients. And then I decided to focus majority of my attention on the commercial real estate. So I stopped all marketing. I pretty much stopped doing all repairs, and my income on that dropped by over, I would say about a little bit over half. It probably dropped by like 60%. And that was okay because I was making money from the land business, still getting those checks. And now that it's been about what, 7 months since we shut down the land business, now I still have a couple more checks coming. However, the painful realization of, oh shoot, I have pretty much committed the last 6 months of my life to these commercial deals, and I haven't gotten paid a dollar from them quite yet. So the balance of working on these bigger deals, putting a lot of time and effort into them, putting money into those deals, and then waiting, right? Like now we've increased, I mentioned this last episode, we increased the value of our building by, I think 200 grand, 220 grand, something like that, because of the bump in rent that was in the lease already. So boom, cool, that net worth went up, but guess what? I don't see any money of that. I don't get a check in the mail, right? I can't spend that money. So which is good and bad, right? So now the bad part is I got to go out and make some money. So I know a lot of people struggle with that, and especially if you're on the broker side of things. The beginnings of becoming a commercial broker are the same, right? It takes you a long time to get deals, to get going. Everyone says, hey, you better have a big old nest egg to get in, because you're going to be sucking wind for a long time. Like no paychecks for over a year is very, very, very common in that industry from what I'm told. And again, in my instance too, I'm forking out money and haven't gotten paid a dollar of it yet. Now we have collected rent and it's sitting in a bank account, and we need to build up the CapEx fund and everything like that and save for reserves. So that's not money that we can spend. Luckily, the other office building that we did cost $0 out of pocket, outside of earnest money, I think a few grand, to be honest. But we raised 100% of the funds for the down payment, the purchase, the rehab. All of that was sourced by outside funds. So that's a great deal in and of itself. That's why I said earlier that, hey, there are deals you can do with no money, and it happens, right? But I would say that it's not commonplace, especially in these current market conditions. So then struggling with now managing these buildings, fixing these buildings, dealing with the tenants, collecting rent, advertising, calling brokers to go get new deals, calling investors to raise capital, to build those relationships. All of that's very, very, very time consuming. And the capital piece is another one that's just a huge, huge, huge time suck, because that's not something you can just call and get money right away. That's like a long-term game as well. I'll do a whole nother episode on the raising money thing, but I brought that up just to show you how many different tasks there are to get done. And then there's the money making side of things, because you need that to eat. I need to make somewhere about 10 grand, 11 grand a month to stay afloat with my family and all the expenses and everything that we have going on. So that's what I got to go out and make. Now I know, let's see, where do we want to take this part? So I guess I'm in a position of what to do, right? Because before, my pool business was making about exactly that, 11 grand. It's a part-time deal. I wasn't super focused on it, but I would work on it a couple days a week, and it was making really good money. It was about doing exactly what I was spending. And that was really, really cool. It's a low risk business, which is also another thing to talk about too, the risk in commercial real estate. So, but now it's making about probably 3.5 grand a month, right? So it's making a dent, but it's not anything to write home about. So now finally that the buildings are stabilized. Well, I shouldn't say stabilized. They're not stabilized quite yet, but they will be fully stabilized soon. The work and attention that they need from me on a daily basis is almost down to a minimum. Another side note, that the listing on Thunderbird, the office for rent, is up. It's up. And it's been great to get that feedback. I know that the broker listed it and got a couple calls the first day, which I feel like pretty common. You put a new, fresh listing on there, you're going to get some people, some looky-loos or whatnot. But hopefully I'll get some updates on that soon. That'll be great for the cash flow, because that'll put about $5,000 worth of cash flow total, which puts about $2,500 a month in my pocket, which is awesome. That would be like huge for the program. Give me more than halfway of the goal that I want to hit for the cash flow goal this year. So whether now I've also been looking into other options. I know I mentioned these salon suites, which I made an offer on, but should get accepted. Salon suites being it's in a retail center, and the build out consists of 21 tiny rooms, like 10 by 10, and then like hairdressers, nail people, masseuses, eyebrows, nails, all the aesthetic type of stuff. We'll rent that out for about $1,200 a month, and you just own, you have a master lease on it, and it's essentially like a mini real estate play where you have 21 of these suites, and then you're renting them out. You're leasing, you're marketing, you're bringing on tenants, keeping them happy. You're doing small repairs and things like that. What I really like about this play is the cash flow. It's definitely a cash flow play. You can get a little bit of equity in there, like the one that we're gonna buy here. We're gonna buy it for 190 grand, and they sell about 3.5 times the multiple of profit. So this should spit out over about 100 grand a year in profit once this is fully stabilized. And so it'll be worth $350,000. Now the purchase price 190, we're probably going to lose about 30, 40 grand in the first 6 months before we can get that fully stabilized. So you're making 100 grand, 110 grand, which is not bad, right? That's like the icing on the cake, I guess you could call it, or the cherry on top. But that cash flow play is crazy, right? We're talking about 8-9 grand a month in cash flow off of something that doesn't take a whole lot of time once it's stabilized again. So that's very interesting. We'll see if that actually does come to fruition. I think that will be a really good combination of what I need right now is because it'd be very hard for me to go out and spend 190 grand and go out and cash flow 100 grand a month off of that. I don't know where else you could do that. Definitely not in a commercial building. Well, I shouldn't say that again. Of course, there's other ways, crazy deals that you can get and formulate and whatnot. But generally speaking, it's really hard to get that type of cash on cash return in a commercial real estate deal. So the combination of doing these salon suites and commercial real estate really, really is starting to sing to me. So that's why I started looking into those. I got a friend that's been in it for a while, is making really good money, and makes a lot of sense. So that's an option there. Doubling down on the pool business again and putting up some numbers out there. I'm just not really down for that because I know that pool business is not a long-term play. It was never meant to be a long-term play for me. It was just to provide some stability and some reliability, which it was greatly needed when you're in real estate. The ups and downs and the swings. I mean, there was 6-8 months where I would go without a single paycheck, and then we would get a big deal sold and get everything caught up, get our reserves caught up, and then boom, we would get a big fat check, and like that was it for the year. It seemed like a lot of times. So to get that monthly stable income really meant a lot. It really helped out. But again, this is not something I want to do in the future. I don't want to grow this business. I don't want to build it and sell it to private equity. I don't want to deal with the pool business. I'm starting to see it as more of a cumbersome type of event. It drains my energy in other ways. It's distracting sometimes. A lot of times I was just knee deep in stuff in the commercial real estate space. And then I would have a client call me about a light or a debris in their pool or something. And it's like, dude, I know they don't know, but it's like, well, I'm dealing with a $1.5 million building here, $1.5 million problem, and you're calling me about a leaf in your pool. Like, dude, I can't deal with that. And I don't want to run a business like that, right? I don't want to ignore people. And I definitely don't ignore people, but I always like to do the best that I can. And I want people to really enjoy that experience. So there's a point of where, hey, what do I do with this pool business? It's been a point of contention for me. Every time I have a down moment, I start thinking about this. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to sell it? Do I want to get a little bit more clientele? So right now I'm basically working 10 hours a week, 11 hours a week on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm just going around cleaning people's pools. Again, it kind of does just seem like a waste of time with all the other things that I have going on. However, that $3,500 profit a month is Would I say needed? It's pretty close to being needed at this point, because without that coming in, put it this way. This year, if I continue to do the same with the pool business, call that 40 grand, and I have about 90 grand coming in from the land business still. So, you'd 130 grand, right? Like, that's what I have coming in so far. And granted, it's only January 7th. However, that means Big Daddy got to go out and do something. That's my point. So, trying to figure out what exactly that looks like. We should have some more details on that pretty soon. But that's basically been the focus as of late. Now that Thunderbird is done, it's been really hard to think before when I was in it, especially with Thunderbird. If you've been following, you know the struggle I had with it even before we bought it, and then getting the remodel done, 43 days of a remodel to get that thing turned around. It took a lot of effort, time, and energy, so it was hard to do anything else. Literally, I haven't even been working out. I maybe worked out twice in the last 4 weeks, which is just asinine, absolutely asinine, especially for me. But I was doing manual labor over there too, so I guess you could call that a workout. Whatever, we're digressing. So, the active income is definitely going to be a focus. The passive cash flow is definitely going to be a focus. So I feel like this is a year where it's going to be, last year was a big time foundational year. This year is going to be, we're a step above the foundation. I feel like I have a decent foundation so far, but you could call this foundation 2.0 really to solidify everything financially, right? And then, of course, we're going to go out and get some more commercial buildings as well. I have a feeling those will be coming in ebbs and flows, just like they did this time. We basically got two at once, which I don't know if I would do that again, two at once. I guess it all depends on the types of deals, right? Now that I have a little bit more experience under my belt, I will be able to handle a lot of the stress, the pressure, and just the inner workings of everything a lot better. So TBD on that. If I got two commercial deals under contract at once, put it this way, I wouldn't be complaining. Let's just say that. So that's what we got going on the side of things. I'm curious to know what a lot of commercial guys do for that income while they're growing their portfolio, right? In a handful of years here, 2-3 years, these buildings are going to produce enough cash flow for me to where I won't have that problem anymore. The buildings themselves will be the reliable cash flow. But right now, the reliability is very low on these. Commercial real estate for me is an asymmetric bet, right? So that's going to be the huge upside, and need to get a little bit of reliability back in my life, which has always been the last 3 years, 2 years I've been really focused on that. And I'm wearing my Whale Club shirt right here, Closer Over More. That's where I got all of those concepts from. That's why I started that pool business, was from the Whale Clubber, the formerly known as the Whale Club. And that's been a major reason for me to get into commercial real estate. I would not have been able to get into commercial real estate without A, that money coming in from the land business, and then B, that pool business income. Without that, I just don't know. There's no way I could have done all of this and had operated a full-time business or had a full-time job or whatever. So I am curious to see what you guys are doing out there, what other people in the commercial real estate space are doing for income while they're building their portfolios. I'm curious to see how that looks, because maybe that can give me an idea here. But that's basically what I have planned. That pool business coming in. We acquired some notes last year that's going to bring me about $1,000 a month total. And these buildings will cash flow a little bit. We'll see if that Salon Suites deal comes into fruition. That could be an extra couple $1,000, and I could hit my goal just like that, right? And if that's happening, that would be a great, great, great day for this guy over here. So cool little side. I wouldn't call it a side thing, but still related to commercial real estate, but on the back end of it. Something that's not talked about a lot, to be honest. So I wanted to touch base on it because I'm living through that right now as we speak. So, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. If you're listening to this episode and you know somebody, a friend, a family member, an acquaintance, a coworker, somebody that would get value from this, that would maybe find this entertaining or would at least like to listen to something like this, please share it. That would mean a lot to me. Also, please stop what you're doing right now. Pause the episode, go down to reviews, leave me a review. I want to hear your feedback. That really helps out the program a lot. I love seeing all the new people coming in, and every week we're getting more and more and more people to tune in. So that means a lot. We had the highest weekly downloads we had. We had 21 downloads, I think, this week, 24 downloads, 27, something like that. Have a total of 247 downloads total, and a bulk of that happening in the last 90 days. So meaning the longer we're going on that upward trajectory. So any help you can get to share this and put this out there would mean the world to me. Really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And on the next one, we should have some interesting updates for you. In the meantime, take her easy.